For the next 32 hours, I'm bringing you along with me for the very last thing that I have to do, the last responsibility I have for Coffee Black, for now. And we're in the airport, and we got a guest. It's gonna be a good time. Made it to Houston. I slept the whole flight, and I was not asleep. I was apparently snoring at one point. That's so embarrassing. So we are in Houston for the final, this is the premiere. We did 3 pre-screenings, and I know it's a little confusing. Why do we do so many pre-screenings? Well, each pre-screening is a tool for us to gather information. So we got to figure out, do people like the story we're trying to tell? Are there any mistakes? Did I make a color grading mistake, an editing mistake? And then last but not least, our Uber's here. I'll tell you the last reason in a little bit. The last reason is just to throw a party and sell tickets. That's really all it is. I'm hyped now because we're about to see the homies from Memphis. I told Anna I needed about 30 minutes just to get ready, and now I'm feeling dialed in. Whew. Let's go. I see Milan. Bro, it's good to see you, man. Shooting on the big rig right now. We are at the Color of Cavu Symposium here. I have not run into Bart. I ran into Renata, but not Bart. But it feels good. Look at all these beautiful people. This is a pretty monumental thing that we're a part of. You see, this is the first time that there's ever been a BIPOC conference ever, I think, in 2022, which is just crazy to me. But we're premiering the doc here in just a couple hours, so we're feeling good. Also, maybe a little over-caffeinated. I lied. I found Bart. We gotta go say hi. Oh, what up, dude? It's good to see you, man.
Not down.
There he is. There he is.
Man, how you doing? You made it.
How we feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling amazing. And I'm in need of caffeination. Quickly.
Of course.
But nah, bro, this is just, it's good. Oh, it's here. Oh, nah, I'm feeling good, bro. This is like what we dripped 3 years ago in real life. Like, God is good.
It's a real deal. Let's go.
For a minute, bro.
Yeah.
And people thought it was weird.
It
From
was.
left coffee roasters.
Yeah.
To now. How does it feel to be in your room, bro, without your kids?
It's crazy. It's like you realize how much credit I can take and how much credit I can't take. You know what I'm saying? How much of this was it was bound to happen. I think for me, it's just glorious.
This is a living document and documentary. It shares the story of our first trip to Africa as African Americans, our first trip to origin as coffee lovers, and it shares what our experience was like. And it's the truth. And that's all we can give is the truth, no sugar, no cream, the way God intended. It's not all the truth. It's not everyone's truth, but it's what we experience. This is Andrew Puccio, who's the director, so y'all give it up for him. This ain't this came out the mud. You know what I mean? This came from our heart. It came from our community supporting us, You probably got me texting you to go for me if you're in this room. Shout out to Oatly, shout out to Bread of Life in Houston, shout out to Miir, La Marzocco, and mayorga. Yeah, let's get into it. Without further ado, enjoy the Coffee Black to Africa documentary.
So I want to take a minute and just simply pause, because there was a lot to reflect on in that moment. Premiering the documentary in Houston with all those fantastic people, the energy was really high, and I did not have a chance to actually like sit down and talk to the camera and process through what it was exactly that I was feeling, what I was experiencing, and what the crew felt after the premiere. You know, I've seen the video so many times, I've watched the doc, and so what I end up focusing on is the people's faces. As a creative and as a filmmaker now, I guess that's what I could call myself, there is something so special about that feeling. But I do think that it actually goes deeper than just simply like a feel-good moment. I mean, think about it, right? It's this group of people watching a story about people from their motherland, asking them to come back to participate in coffee in a new way. Obviously, that's like a very heavy topic. It's a serious topic. It's a beautiful topic. And to watch brown and black folks respond to the message in the story by emoting is beautiful. And I found myself emoting. You know, you saw one of the premieres, I was crying. You know, I always feel emotional after each showing.
Words. When we sing songs of peace, what happens when our notes are taken as our creator intended, with no sugar and no cream needed? What happens when we actually make coffee black again?
Make coffee black again. Don't.
You got it, Rose. You got it.
The other thing that like I don't know if I was mentally prepared for was just how quickly everything moves. Like once the premiere's done, there's the after party and there's a couple more things you do, but then the weekend's over. Like literally, Ann and I were exhausted. The Airbnb we were staying at, like in my room, I could hear people talking downstairs. In her room, she could hear people blasting music. It was this whole thing. The adrenaline rush and then just the sheer come down. I'm realizing that I'm still recovering from that. I woke up today just a little grumpy, and I can attest to that. She's having to deal with me. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Want to say anything about me being grumpy? It happens, it's okay. She said it happens, it's okay. Having to think in such like a high-level creative space is exhausting, and so as you are on your creative journeys, you're doing bigger things with your creativity. Like just know that that's like right around the corner, is that the thing that you want is so accessible and so attainable, it really is, and it's exhausting and it requires more of you than what you had previously given. I'd be remiss if I didn't like shout out Bart and Renata and the whole Coffee Black team, especially the guys who produced the soundtrack, Milan and HD, along with Bart. It's bars.
And it's untapped. The premonition to stay strapped. The definition of payback. I know the betters of panic up in the rear view.
I would put it in this video, but I don't want to get copyright strike by my own homies and crew, so I'll leave that for them. Thanks for being here. I didn't say my intro again. Like it's these vlog style videos, I don't really want to say like what's up. My name's Andrew, call me Pooch. I'd like to welcome you to the Leslie channel. I'm really glad you're here, even though I am really glad you're here. It just feels like a totally different like thing. Two in the talking head. That's when we do the big intro. I digress. Thank y'all for all of the support you've shown on this documentary. We have a lot of ideas cooking with it, and we have a lot of like big dreams that we want to put into action. And so you'll be hearing more about that soon. Just know that we are not done.
ton. What else happened while we were traveling? Oh, Propaganda did this whole like spoken word about coffee. It was beautiful. I'll play that at the end of the video. Bart got to rap in the middle of this super dope streetwear store in Houston.
Kinda like anaerobics, it could be cinnamon, could be with the guava. Every time I'm in the city, know we moving holler. Everybody with it, so you know I keep it mobbing.
What?
We stopped at a...
Come here.
So when we ran out of gas, we had to... It was a municipal airport,
So
so we couldn't even leave the plane.
In Meridian, Mississippi.
Don't know where that is.
We were
but
stuck.
Yeah, we were stuck for like 30 minutes.
An hour and a half flight turned into a 4.5 hour trip.
Yeah.
But we're here. We survived.
We made it.
It was made for a really good moment in the story. All right, that's all we got. I'll see y'all in the next one. Until then, peace.
And grow. So I'll drop this poem on y'all and get out y'all way. Okay, y'all with it?
Yeah.
Okay, word. All right. So I got to thinking, right? If coffee were a man, it'd be a black man. Joyous, welcoming, warm, life-giving. He wouldn't be for everyone. He's definitely an acquired taste. Bold, adaptable. He'd give of his best for your good and gladly share in the fruits of his grind and sweat. Neither heat nor high pressure would scare him. He would and does flourish come hail or hot water, because it would welcome him both, because he knows it brings out the best of him. He wouldn't mind the crushing of a grind, because his is more or less poreless. His creative process is naturally washed, sun-dried. He'd be single-origined. We'd be single-origined in nature, specifically North African, yet he'd flourish in multiple regions if the climate is suitable. South Central American, Afro-Latin, Micronesian. He would enjoy working with the indigenous and find beauty in the soil their flavor notes might bring. If coffee were a man, he'd be a black man, shipped away by force. And of course forced to grind, and grind he must. If coffee were a man, he'd be exhausted, yet expected to get everybody woke. He'd be seen as the cure for morning blues, but would nobody play his? His second visit would feel much more like appropriation rather than appreciation. He would feel like he had been working in fields, making gourmet from scraps, treasure from trash, only to get his meal handed to the same hands that handed him over. If coffee were a woman, it'd be a black woman. Bold, strong, delicate, elegant, complex, well-traveled, actually exponentially more complex than fine wine. Remember when she went abroad? Turkey, Vienna, Spain. The collaborations were amazing. She'd be naturally washed, cultured, refined with a refined palate. She would thrive in regions others don't. See, they can't breathe the air up there. Elevation don't scare her. If coffee were a person, it'd be a haunting sense of irony. What was once a centuries-old practice of the population became a global craze, save only for the pompous. How could something so black be so white? She would be heated up and watered down and mixed with cream and artificial sweetener, because they can't stomach her purity. To them, she too bold, she too bitter. But the purists say they like the black in her, right? The black only. If coffee were mother, she would lead well. Say there's a third way, maybe a fourth way, where black and white and brown can dance. And cold brew some experiments with nitrogen and mocha. If coffee were family, they'd say don't profit off our cousins' backs. Use the faces for our farmers for marketing to folks that don't want us in their country in the first place. If coffee were a person, or a family, or a mother, she'd say there's a fourth way where you and I can dance. Good morning, let's dance.